Hey folks, hey, this morning or today we're going to talk about a little subject. Why do Terry from TSX Viking, our resident welder in here, famous welder, he's not just a normal welder, he's a real good welder. Hey, he asked me the question, and I got a little bit more to say about this before I finish the topic. So why do the women folks utensils or appliances in the house, and the one that women use, have a ground on them, and what we have in our shops don't have grounds on them? So it got me thinking. Okay, I'm gonna tell you from my knowledge, electrician, licensed electrician. What we're talking about today is why do some appliances have just a normal two-prong plug with a big end, okay, which is the the big end is your neutral end, the smaller end is the power end. We'll attempt to explain to you, or the one with the ground on them. Hey, from what I know, okay, it has to do with whatever has double insulated, okay, and yeah, double insulated, and you can see that usually, okay, because I was looking at something and it wasn't, and okay, this is a women thing, curling iron, okay, and I found, I don't know if this is gonna show up in here. There's on here, see right there, there's a square within a square. That means double insulated. And the cord on that is just your two-prong plug. Double insulated means that if ever something went wrong in here, the handle is plastic, this is just loose, it's just a decoration. Well, I don't know what it is, but it has nothing to do with anyways, because ULC, that means it's approved for America here, and double insulated sign, a square within a square, that means this is approved, and it's a double insulated, not a tool and appliance, so it can have two-prong plug. And there's other things like this is the charger. Now let's see, I'll try and find the square. See, there's no I don't know, the standards have probably changed. Two-prong, this is made out of plastic. So if some never, the power lead in here, okay, which is just one wire, but it carries the power inside there and the circuit board or whatever, if ever something went wrong, it goes to the outer casing. It doesn't need a ground. Okay, first of all, the ground is hooked up to the outer casing. I have a grinder up there. It's hang on, I'm gonna show you, because you guys, well, I think I showed it before. See inside that, hang on, I'm gonna go a little, see inside there, see that's made out of aluminum, the handle there, see the big grinder in there. Wow, there's a ground on that, and there's a ground because it needs it. See, if ever, hang on, see if I still in the picture here. See if the something ever goes wrong in the handle or in the switch and frayed wires and they go to the casing. Well, that'll hopefully short out the breaker, trip it, because the casing is grounded. But these plastic whatever, you don't need a ground because the thing's made out of plastic, and they rely on this to, and that's what they call that. It's isolated ground. You're insulated and you're isolated. That's a double whammy. But really, they call that insulated, double insulated ground. Appliances, tools, everything applies. Now, Terry asked me, why do the women folk have all their different appliances? Why are they all grounded and our tools in the in the garage, all ungrounded? I found in the drawer right there, I found what kind was that? Was a small, it's the older drills, but it was a good one. It was a Metabo drill, and it had a plastic casing, but it was had a ground, a plug on it had a ground. But you know what happens, eh? A lot of times in the stock I have more here. Well, I have a few spares now because I smartened up and started to buy some. But I used to buy all grounded plugs and that's it. That's what we put. But it's illegal. You're not supposed to put a grounded plug on an ungrounded tool or utensil or whatever. Something here. This is another. This comes from. They call that Power Fist. It's comes from Princess Auto here in Canada, and it's got a plastic. So therefore, if something goes wrong in here, well, and this is the power end of it. This here is a mechanical end of it. No problem there because there's no electrical wires in this part. So, and the screws just screw it into the plastic. The power end of it is here and here, the motor part. And they have two, it's a big end and a small end and just a two-prong plug. But on their, they don't have much of a sticker. This, I don't know how they get away with this. It's not ULC, it's not CSA, and they don't have a double isolated ground. They say nothing about that. They just say 500 watts electric shear. I don't know how they get away with that, but I guess they do. So the story on the, oh, I wanted to show this. Yeah, I was in the house before I come out to the garage. This here is, you know, the water boiling kettles. You just stick it on there, and this plugged in the wall. Well, this here has a ground, but you look at this. It's all made out of plastic, but in here, that's where when you put the glass part on here, that's where that hooks up. But I don't see no ground in here. There's an outer one, and then there's two inner ones. There's the center pin. There's an outer. Hang on, a center pin. There's an outer center pin, and then there's an outside one. If I'm sure. Well, hang on. We'll take the meter and we'll try it just to see. It's we'll see if the theory holds. It should beep. Can you hear it? Hey. Can you hear it? So that means they put a ground, but then it's not a kettle. I don't know what you call it. It's made out of glass, but I think there's at the bottom there's a metal ring, and that metal ring probably contacts on that pin there. So it's just whatever they build and how it's built, and depends what they want to put. It's probably just that one's probably just as expensive as the other to build, but I would say the new way the new way of building things is with just the two-prong approach, so they don't need that third. So if they can get away without putting that, well, that's the way they do it. Now, Terry, for your problem, but you don't have a problem. For what you said, I don't know why your wife has more grounds than you do in your shop. My question to you is, are you buying all new tools in your shop and you're not buying new stuff for your wife? And that's why she's stuck with all the ground. Because, okay, I have to say this though, saying this is usually the older stuff has the ground on it, but this is not old. This is not this hot water thing. The boiling water thing is not a year old. So there's some exceptions, but most of it has to do with age. The older it is, the more apt it is to have a ground. And we used to buy, I remember, that's over 10 years ago. Every year adds up. Eh? When I used to run jobs and foreman, we used to buy cords, okay? Like for the drills. That's in the days. Well, we had like the impact, the Hilti impact drills for drilling in concrete and things with the carbide bits there. Those weren't all. Most tools were, at the end of my career, most tools were battery operated without cords, but we still had some, and then I'd be buying just a cord so we could change, like instead of sending the tool back to the shop and you know, sometimes you send back a good tool, it's just a cord that's mucked up, or instead of getting a plug changed, I just order like 5 or 6 new cords with the ends molded on it, and I just switch the cords right in the drill, right on the job, and I'd be done with it, and because that's what would happen. But anyways, to end this saga here, I don't know what to say, Terry. Double insulated tools, okay, is to isolate you from getting a shock. Isolate, so your tool, if it's made out of metal, anything around the electrical parts or the motor, if it's made out of metal, that anything a loose wire or a shredded wire can touch, if it's metal, it'll be grounded. It should be grounded, and it'll trip the breaker. If it's not made out of metal, it's made out of plastic, like this here, it's the kettle. When you put the glass kettle, it's got a bottom metal ring. Well, I don't know if something went wrong in the element inside there. Oh yeah, it's got a heating element that's immersed in the water, but the bottom, I think it's made on it. I don't know. Anyways, they can't get away with no ground, so they put a ground on it, and they carry the ground right to the kettle part. See, because this is really, it's quite something, because that, I'm sure if you measured how much this draw, like that element in here, I'm sure it's at least 12, maybe more amps that it's drawing, and they carry that just through we'll call it a momentary contact. So something to deal with. We had one prior to this one. We find it handy, eh? You could just stick it on there. That stays on the kitchen counter. You stick it on there. You want to boil water, you press on the buttons at the top. You all put water in it first, and it boils. And when it's boiled, you just grab it and you pour the water, and there's no wires hooked up to it. So I don't know. I think you just have to check your wife's paraphernalia and start buying some new stuff for your wife, Terry. And that's the explanation for double insulated and why tools are grounded. And when they're not grounded, what you should see, like that one, a square within a square, that's what we should be seeing. I don't know how they get away. Like these tools that they're selling that come from China there, they're not, I don't know, they're not supposed to be selling them here. Or in the States either. They got ULC and there's electrical standards, and I don't know. Things aren't the way they used to be, let's say. Okay, friends. I don't know, it ain't gonna get better than this, the way it's starting to look like, eh? But I keep saying, like, just because I got hope, eh, that they're gonna get better than this, so you gotta stick with me, friends. Okay, we'll, don't forget, eh, comments are welcome, and we'll see you in the next one.